The Kansas City Royals have traded Carlos Santana. What does that mean for the future of Kansas City as Vinny gets the call to the big leagues? What's on tap this weekend? And as we turn the calendar to July, what should you look for during trade season? All of this and more coming up on today's Locked On Royals podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day.
You are Locked On Royals, your daily Kansas City Royals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Royals podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your teams every day. I am your host, Rylan Stiles. You can follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Royals. Email the show, lockedonroyals@gmail.com. Thank you so much for making Locked On Royals your first listen every single morning. Every single day, we're here for you talking Royals baseball. As we turn the calendar to July, things really ramp up around here as we start talking about, of course, trades and the All-Star hoopla and so much more. But the trade season is already underway for the Kansas City Royals. It's already underway in a big way by shipping off Carlos Santana to the Seattle Mariners. Many didn't expect Santana to be traded. I didn't expect him to be traded because of the lack of value. The Royals' stubbornness did pay off to a degree. They were able to trade him instead of just putting him on waivers and eating the money like a good organization would. But they traded him, and it sounds like these two guys that they got back are something. Like, it doesn't sound like these guys are just bound to be career minor leaguers by any means, so that's good as well. I'd be interested to, I'm interested to see how, of course, the career pans out for these prospects that they got. They got back a right-hander, Wyatt Mills and William Fleming, and it sounds like at least one of them could make the big leagues out of these two. Mills is 27 years old; he'll be in AAA, and Fleming is 23 years old, and he'll be in Class A. And it sounds like Fleming, of course, could crack a rotation in the bigs at some point in his career. And so if you get a spot starter for Carlos Santana without having to eat his money, that's, of course, a good deal. That's a good deal for Kansas City. Surprising, of course, just due to the fact that Carlos Santana has been dreadful, but he was heating up this month. So maybe the Mariners are just looking to, have him continue this hot streak recently and get by in Seattle for a little while. So far, he's played 3 games in Seattle. He's batting 111 with a 273 OBP, but of course, 3 games is not a significant amount of time, clearly. I like the trade because it opened the door to bring in our boy, Vinnie Pasquantino. I'm going to butcher his name for at least 3 years, and then I'll get it right. He is, the 6'4", 245-pound first baseman. He's played in 2 games so far in his career, 7 plate appearances. Still looking for that first major league hit, although he has drawn 2 walks so far in the 2 games. It's much like the Bobby Witt Jr. thing with Vinny. Like, yes, he hasn't in these 2 games. He's gone over 5 in terms of hitting wise, but he doesn't look overmatched. He just looks like baseball's happening, right? Like it's a hard out. It's a hard line out. It's battling in a at bat and then falling a bit shy. Like It's nothing wrong with Vinny himself. He doesn't look overpowered or unprepared. It's just baseball happening so far in these 2 games. And so hopefully he keeps that same confidence. He keeps that same um, energy and is able to continue to battle the way that he's battled so far. And you get to go to Detroit today and try to take on a team who's at your skill level in Detroit, at your kind of team level. They have only like 3 more wins than Kansas City does. They're having the same kind of season. You've got Brad Keller on the bump today, Brady Singer going tomorrow, and then Chris Bubich to in the weekend. And so there'll be plenty of opportunity for Vinny to get his first hit this weekend in the Motor City. This is what the Royals should be doing. They should be leaning into young players. It should be Bob. It should be Vinny. And then Kyle Isbell should be getting routine playing time. And of course, that opens up a bit more if you do end up trading Michael A. Taylor or you do end up trading Andrew Benintendi. That opens up a couple outfield spots for Kyle Isbell to play every single day, which is what I would be looking for. It's exciting in the sense of you want to watch these young players. Obviously, it's frustrating. 610 Sports had the owner on, Sherman, and he made it known, look, we thought we were further along than what we have shown, and obviously we are not. And so that rhetoric leads me to believe, yeah, you're going to trade Benintendi, you're going to trade Michael A. Taylor, and you're not going to go for it this offseason. That makes me think that the pipe dream of being a playoff team next year, and of course, you rewind to yesteryear, last year it was all, 2022 is the year they make the playoffs. They've signed Santana. They went and signed Michael A. Taylor. They've signed Mike Minor. They've got Benintendi, who's only under contract for 2 years. In 2022, they're going to be a playoff team with playoff expansion. Nope, that didn't happen. We get to spring training this year, and it's very clear this team sucks. And then what do? They say, 2023 is the year for the postseason. And then we get to July, and what do? The ownership group says they're far away. So the last 5 years of rebuilding have sucked. And they made the wrong transactions. They made the wrong draft picks. They made the wrong developmental decisions. And it's basically as though you're starting from ground zero. Because you look around this roster, how many of these guys do you expect will be in the postseason? Bobby Witt Jr. hopefully will be in Kansas City next time they make the postseason. Maybe Kyle Isbell can be in Kansas City the next time they make the postseason. And then maybe Vinny. MJ Melendez, another one. So you've got Melendez, Vinny, Bobby, and maybe Kyle Isbell. Everyone else still has to prove that they're worth investing in and worth keeping around. And that's all the baseline that you have. In the minor leagues, you still have Nick Prado, but that's about it. Like, this rebuild has spent 5 years and you've really done absolutely nothing. And it's a shame. I mean, you've already started the clock on Bobby Witt Jr. You can't turn him, you can't send him down next year or anything like that. So, like, you've got 5 years left to make it right. And it's taken you 5 years to get to this point. So can you win in the next 5 years before Bobby Witt Jr. goes somewhere else in free agency? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But your owner coming out in public and saying that this has not gone the way that you wanted it to or expected it to, not a great sign. Not a great sign at all for how to anticipate this rebuild. But coming up, we'll talk more about the weekend ahead for Kansas City, preview it with the Detroit Tigers. Hopefully they can win this series. I think that they can. I think that this will be a series win for Kansas City. I'm feeling good about the weekend. And we'll talk about the weekend around Major League Baseball as well. We are back on the LOCKEDON Royals podcast. I want to tell you about our good friends over at BetOnline, folks. BetOnline is your number one source for all of your sport betting needs, from basketball, football, baseball, hockey, MMA, boxing, UFC. They have sports podcasts. They have news. They have everything you can need over there at BetOnline. And you're going to want to get your hands on the website because the website is so great. They have things like player props too. Like right now I'm tweeting out that Kevin Durant is a 20-1 favorite to be in Oklahoma City if he's not on Brooklyn. So they have those kind of prop bets. They also have them for the MLB as well. And I actually also have an email about the MLB odds. So let's talk about those real quick. Updated World Series odds. Right now, the favorite is the New York Yankees. That's my pick to win the World Series. And then it's Dodgers, Astros, Mets. If that's kind of the final four of the MLB playoffs, that would be so fun. That'd be such fun baseball. And I know baseball typically does not go with favorites, obviously. There's always a magical run, there's always an upset. The baseball's the one playoff system that I think you typically see them quote unquote get it wrong um, in the sense of the best team in the regular season doesn't always win, right? Like in basketball, for example. This is a better way to put it to kind of spin it on its head. In basketball, typically who wins a title is the 1 seed, the 2 seed maybe. In football, yes, there are upsets in football, but like typically it's Brady, it's Mahomes, it's those caliber of players. And sure, you get your Nick Foles year, sure you get your Trent Dilfer year, sure you get your whatever year, but typically speaking, it's the correct team, sort of the quote unquote correct team. And football is the closest to hockey and baseball in this sense. This is the one area where I think hockey and baseball thrive over other sports, is that their playoff system is so unpredictable. Like looking at Kansas City, right? We enjoy those teams in Kansas City, and the national level grew to love those teams in Kansas City because it was kind of a throwback to the form of baseball that wasn't being played anymore. But we can admit, right? We can admit that that was not, that was not the best team that year on paper. If you were just saying blindly before the year who has the most pure talent on their roster, you would not have picked Kansas City in 14 or 15. And both those teams got to the World Series, and then one of them won the World Series. So like that's what I mean by baseball does not always give you the predictable answer. But if this is a year where it's predictable and your final four is Yankees, Dodgers, Astros, Mets, I would be glued to the television. That would be so fun. Funny note here in Kansas City, they're actually the third worst odds to get to the World Series, ahead of the A's and ahead of the Nationals. The pennant odds for the AL, Royals, of course, head of the A's in that race. The favorite is Yankees, Astros, Blue Jays, Twins, Red Sox. So that's very fun. And then divisional odds, here we go. If you were to bet on who would win the AL Central, the Royals are currently in last on the odds and stay that way. It's Twins, White Sox, Guardians, Tigers, by the way, if you wanted to know the division shakeout. And then you can go down to awards so that you can even bet on Aaron Judge to win MVP. He's the favorite, and that's Ohtani, Trout, Alvarez, Jordan Alvarez, who I think has been incredible this year. The only other betting favorite that, would surprise you, I think, is, there's Taylor Ward down there, there's Tim Anderson down there, Ty France down there. I don't think they really have a shot to win it. And the NL, the favorite is Paul Goldschmidt. It's Goldschmidt, Machado, and Pete Alonso. As far as Cy Youngs go, again, no Royal listed here at all. And then in the AL, of course, no listing either. Rookie of the year, though. Here's the interesting discussion. Right now, Bobby Witt Jr., who started out as the favorite, is now the second favorite behind Julio Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners. It's Julio, Bobby, and then Jeremy Pena, Adley Rutschman, Joe Ryan, and Spencer Torkelson for the Rookie of the Year. So those are things you can bet on besides just games at BetOnline. So make sure you check them out and utilize them. It's very fun. Well, this weekend for the Royals, they will take on the Detroit Tigers. And, they've gotten better as the season goes on, the Royals have. Themselves so much of a whole, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of like if you show up to school, right? And for the first semester, for the first, from August to Thanksgiving, right? You don't do a single assignment. You don't turn in anything. You don't do your homework. You don't turn in anything. You're getting 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. But then, Thanksgiving till Christmas, you're getting 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. That's great that you're doing your work now, and that's great that you're acing your work now, but it cannot reverse the damage you did in the onset. Sort of the same thing happening in Kansas City. They're 4-6 in the last 10 games, more respectable, on a one-game winning streak, right? They've been around 500 for 2 weeks now in terms of win-loss in the last 10 games. They're getting better, but it's just that you buried yourself so early that it doesn't matter. So that's kind of what's happening this weekend for the sake of the Royals. Now, elsewhere in baseball, some very fun matchups to keep an eye on. You've got the Red Sox Cubs, which I think is just kind of a fun game to watch just due to the tradition and like history of those two franchises. But you've also got Rays Blue Jays, which is going to be very fun from a competitive standpoint. The surging Phillies against the Cardinals is very fun. Uh, let's see what else you got here. Yankees Guardians, like Savali against Cole today would be very a good game to watch, I believe, and in my opinion anyway. And then the big one. If you wanted to carve out time to watch a non-Royals series this weekend, like watch the Royals, and then plus let's watch a different game as well. If you wanted to do that Friday and Saturday and Sunday, the one to do it with for me is Dodgers Padres. I absolutely love the Dodgers Padres rivalry. I think that it's going to be very fun to watch for. You can, and they play at separate times each day, I believe, in Kansas City this week. So this weekend. So you can, yeah, they do. So you can truly watch Royals baseball and then Dodger Padres this entire weekend series. And that should be very much worth watching. So you can go check out Locked On Padres and go check out Locked On Dodgers as well for those two angles on the series. But I think it's going to be a very, 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 very fun one. Coming up, let's talk more about the Royals weekend and week that was. We are back on the Locked On Royals podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your teams every day. I am your host, Rylan Stiles. You can follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Royals. Email the show, lockedonroyals@gmail.com. Well, we are here talking Royals baseball, but make sure you always remember that the Locked On Podcast Network spans beyond just baseball. Not only can you get every baseball team out there, you can also get NFL, NBA. So Chiefs fans, we're, what would you say, about 20 days away, 25 days away from training camp, right, in St. Joe's? So to get caught up to date on the latest Chiefs news and also take you through training camp and the regular season and preseason, check out Locked On Chiefs. They're awesome. Off-season wise for the Chiefs, 3 days a week right now, but they're going to be up to 5 days a week in the middle of July. So check them out today, Locked On Chiefs, wherever you get podcasts around, and they're on YouTube, and they are killing it on YouTube. So check out the YouTube channel. Very, very good. Locked On Chiefs. As far as the Royals go again, Tigers series, I think they're going to win it. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Monday, whenever I come back on this podcast, I'll have egg on my face and I'll just look stupid like I always do. But I think that they're going to win it. I really do. As far as other network things to check out MLB Prospects as well, because MLB Prospects is, of course, breaking down the minor leagues, and the Royals have some minor leaguers that you'll be very interested in. And more importantly, too, than the minor leaguers, because we mentioned that, it's really only Nick Prado and guys like that right now. They're also doing a great job previewing the MLB draft, which, of course, heavily impacts the Royals' success rate in the future. So check out that coverage as well. And let me know, do you think that the Thunder will, that the Royals will compete and will play at a high clip regarding the weekend series against Detroit? I'm very excited for it. I cannot wait to see how it all goes down, but I think they're winning the series. This weekend, they played the Tigers. Earlier this week, of course, they played the Rangers, had an off day on Thursday, but the Rangers series, they staved off a sweep behind a really fun Wednesday game with Zach Greinke getting a win in that one. But other than that, nothing to write home about this weekend, besides Vinnie getting called up in the trade with Santana. Next week, they'll play, whenever we return Monday, we'll be talking about this Tigers series, and then they'll kick off a series with the Astros on the 4th of July. So that'll be very fun to see them take on to get to watch a playoff competitive team, a playoff caliber team like Houston. They'll play Houston, and then they'll play the Astros. It's actually going to be a very funny series. Like, it's going to go Monday through Thursday. So it's a 4-game set in the midweek. And then they'll play the Guardians at home at the start of the weekend on July the 8th. So make sure you got your tickets ready. Make sure everything's ready to go for the homestand coming up next weekend. And until Monday, check out Locked On Royals, check out Locked On Chiefs, check out Locked On Prospects. Subscribe to every show, wherever you get your podcasts from. They're free and available. Wherever you get them from, you can subscribe to Locked On Royals. Also follow on Twitter at Locked On Royals. Also, email the show, LockedOnRoyals@gmail.com. And until Monday, be good and be good to one another.